welcome back to Great Northwest Weaponry. This is Thomas. Today we are going to be taking a look at a pistol that I've been very excited about. This is the Mauser HSC. Now, you noted we had a couple of problems there with it feeding, and that might be an issue with this mag. It might be an issue with this gun. It's hard to say. This is one of my most recently acquired pistols in my vintage gun collection, and we have very limited ammo today. So you're seeing the good, the bad, and the ugly of how this thing functions. I've actually only got 6 more shots, and if I'm not mistaken, these hold 7 rounds in a mag. So you saw 5 there. Going to be going over the full history of this thing. It's a really neat little piece, one of the 3 primary pocket pistols of the Third Reich. And we've gone over the other 2, the Sauer & Son 38H and the Walther PP. The Mauser HSC was the hole in that collection. So whether or not it cycles well, it's definitely one that I've been very desperately wanting in my collection. Picked this up as well as the holster for it from my friends at the Warfront. And yeah, let's go ahead and go into the gun room and talk some Mauser HSC history. The Mauser HSC was developed in part as Mauser's answer to the popularity of hammer-fired compact 32 automatic pistols in the 1930s and early 1940s. These, namely, would be 2 that we looked at in the past. The Walther PP, which came first of these big 3, so to speak, and the Sauer & Son 38H, of which, in spite of appearing to be a striker-fired pistol, having no exposed hammer, there is actually a hammer within, so it is in fact a hammer-fired pistol. But pistols such as these were very popular in Germany and Europe at large. The HSC was actually originally developed with the intention of just being a commercial pistol because the commercial market was going gangbusters for these smaller 32 automatic pistols. Also shares a relation with another one that we looked at some time ago. This is the earlier Mauser Model 1914, which is a derivative of the Model 1910, and then there's the later Model 1934, of which would be produced pretty much right up until the day that the HSC came into the picture. So a lot of connections to other 32 automatic pistols. Now, in designing their new hammer-fired pistol, Mauser turned to a designer by the name of Alex Seidel. It might be Seidel, it's spelled S-E-I-D-E-L. And when it comes to German, S often has a Z sound, so I'm not 100% certain on that. I believe it is Seidel, but you know, if you speak German, you can correct me in the comments and I won't mind. But he filed many patents through the 1930s, attempting to get his own, you know, double action hammer design patented. It would be officially patented in 1940. Relatively quickly, the German Navy would pick up a good handful of these and start their own production line of them, as well as later the Army. Notably, these served all over the SS and with the Luftwaffe. Now, the name, by the way, HSC is Hahn Selbstspanner, and then C denotes that it is the 3rd and final iteration of the gun. So HS Hahn Selbstspanner, which from my understanding is self-cocking pistol, or self-cocking hammer, rather. Hahn is hammer. We've actually seen that particular letter, H, come up all over in German pistol designs, including, you know, obviously the HSC, but then the 38H, Hahn, denotes that it has a hammer, 38H, and then the Steyr Hahn Model 1912 also. So ultimately, through World War II, approximately 250,000 of these would be made. All total production would amount to, it was like 334,000 plus, but the initial run of production, 1940 to 1945, and then for a couple of years, they kept on being produced under French supervision, and then it went back into commercial production that lasted until 1970. Now, let's go ahead and transition to the tabletop here, take a look at how to disassemble this thing, as well as a couple of the markings, and what we haven't really taken a look at yet, this original holster that I have for it. We've actually got a wealth of information to go over during this segment today. I would say more so than usual. For one, we're going to go into a bit about how to date these pistols and a couple of features to search for to determine the rarity and such. So for one, the very earliest examples, the prototypes, the grip is actually a single solid wraparound piece and it'll be textured on the back. The production model, as seen here, is not going to feature that. It's going to be, slab sides. Also, the very earliest ones will have the screw position altered from what you see here, where the screw will actually be right about where my fingertip is there. Now, the vast majority of them, the screw is going to be in the position seen here. Another thing to look for, and I'd mentioned that I believe this to be a 1942, and I do still think this is probably a late 42, could be an early 43, between the serial number and this one particular feature. So the earliest of Mauser HSC pistols feature something that is seen on the Walther PP, and that is the safety decocker. Now, in 1942, Walther would sue Mauser over this copyright infringement, and Mauser would lose that lawsuit and have to discontinue using that feature. So you can see on this example, that is not present. Now, this would have been seen starting around serial number 8,600. This is almost, or 860,000 rather. This is right around 878,000. Now, as far as markings, there's a couple that we're going to take a look at here. And they're going to be primarily the ones seen right on the side of the trigger guard there. And right there. Now, that eagle N is seen on the vast majority of examples. Commercial examples will have the eagle N, but nothing on the left side of the trigger guard. This example is the stick eagle over 135. That is one of two different proofs that will be seen on Army examples. So eagle 135 or eagle 165 is what you're going to see on Army examples. Other things to look for, if you are interested in a police model, for instance, it'll be the eagle over either L or F. If you are looking for a Navy model, it'll be an eagle over M, Roman numeral 3, and the rarer variation will have that, but it'll also have a very large Kriegsmarine stamp right about here. That would be a large eagle clutching a swastika over the letter M, and it would be oriented with the wings stretching out in that direction. Those are definitely among the more sought after of all of these. I'm sticking this into the video wherever it feels most appropriate because I forgot again to talk about the holster. So you can see here, it is in pretty rough shape, but I didn't pay anything extra for it. It just came with it. The stitching along the bottom is popped free. A lot of the leather is in pretty rough shape, but it is here. And for display purposes, very nice to have. No real discernible markings, but this is the correct pattern of holster. So yeah, just neat little additional feature to have. For disassembly, with mine, it seems to only really do it very well if the safety is, or if the hammer rather, is cocked. But then you need to engage the safety, of which would be in the downward position as seen here. Also, I would note, you want to do this whole process with the mag still in the gun. Now, you see there's this little, like, button type situation in here. You're actually going to pull that down. You can do this with your thumb, and while you do this, you're going to apply forward pressure on the slide. Not excessive, just a little bit. And there you go. You see it pop free, and then it just, boom, just pops right off. Now, this pistol has a couple of weird little finicky things that we'll take a look at. For one, the safety can be kind of sticky on this, but that piece that I mentioned, by the way, that you're going to pull down on, that is engaging this right here block. That is the only thing holding the slide on the frame. Pretty much all of your gun mechanism is right in here, covered by your left side grip. And this one, I have noticed something. So with the grip on, you can do this without everything here just falling apart. But you pull the trigger and you see the hammer falls forward, and it should engage as double action right there. And for some reason with this one, and this linkage is what goes to the hammer linkage back here, my trigger, I believe I have a weak trigger spring, because if I push it forward a little, it didn't do it there. Sometimes it does. Oh, okay, there we go. It is a double action pistol. Now with the slide on, I have noted that sometimes if I push the trigger forward, it'll then grab the linkage, but it doesn't seem to be grabbing the double action normally. And I believe that is an issue with a weak trigger spring that can be remedied. Wolf Springs does make a replacement spring for these. So probably get my hands on one of those as soon as possible. To get the barrel out, you're just going to push. So you can do this with the base plate of the magazine. I've seen people do it that way, but it's not that hard to just do it by hand. You're just going to push forward a little bit and then rock it outward. So you get about right there, and then it rocks free. Then you've got your barrel and your recoil spring. Put it back in, just line it up and push it in. Pretty straightforward. Now, getting it back on the frame, see there's these little wings here, and those need to line up with those notches when you go to set it back on the frame. So, bada boom, and then you should, sometimes it takes a little bit of finicking to get it in the exact right spot. Try it with the hammer back. There we go. Again, mine likes it with the hammer back. Lock it back and it should all be good to go. Now these lock without the mag inserted in the gun. You have to insert the mag for the slide to go forward, and I'm just holding that so it doesn't just crash forward. Also neat feature of these is how the trigger is fully shrouded except for this little protruding piece for you to grab onto. So that makes you less likely to snag on anything, less likely to get any junk in here that's going to impede the travel of the hammer. It's just nice. And now here's what I'd mentioned earlier, by the way, the feature of pushing forward, and then there we go. You can see it is working the hammer now. So don't know why it's doing that. I believe it is just a weak trigger spring that is not fully resetting the trigger to the position it's supposed to be in. And with that, I think we're ready to take this back out to the range, put a few more rounds through it. Now, this is a European-style heel release magazine, as many 32 automatic pistols of the time were, or 32 ACP or 7.65 Browning. Now, again, at the beginning of the video, you saw me have some feeding issues with this, and I was fighting that throughout the intro of the video. We will probably be contending with that here. I've got this mag loaded to 6. This is the only mag I have. I'm using Fiocchi 7.65 Browning. Now, interestingly, a lot of these old guns are just very finicky with what ammo you feed into them. My FN 1922, for instance, will feed nothing but Fiocchi 7.65 Browning. However, my Walther PP barely feeds that ammo at all, but it seems to do just fine with Federal. Now, this could be an ammo issue, it could be a magazine issue, it could be a gun issue. It is really difficult to say at this point as I've put so little ammo through it. Again, I've only got 11 shots with me today total, including the 5 you saw at the beginning of the video. Now, again, with this being a European heel style release, what I typically do is I use the back of the magazine and I just depress the magazine and then kind of cantilever the mag into the gun. We're going to test the safety here. And with me pulling it back and then guiding it forward, it picked up the round just fine there. Now, the safety is right here, and the hammer should drop and the gun not go off. So let's see how this does. All good. So now what you're going to have to do is turn the safety back off, pull the hammer all the way back until it is locked again, and now it should be good to fire. There we go, and it cycled. Oh, bad feed. So here's the issue that we've been talking about, and I'm pointed at the ground and I'm keeping this, away from myself. If I, getting a double feed now. I'll lock this open, pull the mag, and now the mag is, or the slide is locked open all the way. Saw me drop out of screen. That's because I was picking up our dropped cartridge. Go ahead and insert that into the mag. We've only got 2 shots left. So now the slide should slam home when I push this in. There we go. Functioning properly aside from that jam so far, and I'm a little off screen there, so I'm going to... Well, that snuck up on me. All right, 1 bad feed out of that mag, and we might be working the oil into this gun. I did clean this and, try and get the rails nice and lubricated, because when I did the first shots with this, I'd had similar issues with it jamming. So maybe it only having 1 jam on that second mag instead of 3 as it did in the first mag might be indicative of something going a little better here. But we'll keep working on it, and definitely be seeing this gun a lot in future videos. I love the design of this pistol. I love everything about it. Just the fact that this one isn't working flawlessly. This is just a thing that goes with the territory of collecting old guns. Oftentimes, you're going to find one, it could be the best design of its era, and it might just not hardly work now because we're looking at, 80 plus years down the road from its creation. This one, again, if I'm not mistaken, 1942 manufacture date, of which would make this fully 82 years old right now. So, anyway, hope you all enjoyed the video. It's been Thomas with Great Northwest Weaponry, and I will see you next time.